Hello and welcome to SOFA Sense'S. You're joined by me, Kavan, and of course, this is the akhi&saltfish Digital Network. And this wouldn't be SOFA Sense'S without a very, very special guest. Today, we're joined by heavyweight boxer Lamar Harrison. We're going to talk about his family history in boxing, as well as his ambitions in the pro game. He's a young pup right now in the heavyweight division, but don't worry, because the rest of the guys are retiring, as we're going to talk about later. And this is the perfect platform to get to know the name Lamar Harrison before he becomes heavyweight champion of the world. Well, with that being said, let's get stuck into it. So, Lamar, thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. And again, I must say, because boxers are proven to be the easiest guests to book. We have a few shows on the network, which means we book a variety of guests. But I literally just DM'd Lamar and said, look, I've seen your Instagram. I love your style. I love all the things you bring to the game. Do you mind jumping on the show? And he says, yeah, sure, no problem. We put a date in the diary and we made it happen. Super, super easy. And I must give a shout out to Instagram as well, because it turns out you can book appointments within DMs now, which makes my life a lot easier. So yeah, thanks Lamar, really appreciate it. How are you doing today?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, man. You know, it's a Sunday. It's a lovely day in England. The weather's doing good for the last couple of weeks. So yeah, really appreciative. So yeah, thanks for joining me. And you know, I think I want to address something right away. So your last name is Harrison.
Yeah.
And your dad is the late British boxing trainer Oliver Harrison.
Yeah.
And you know what I don't want to go over people's heads is what that means in the game of British boxing, because I'm going to reel off a few names here, and I'd like you to tell me, you know, any stories you've got around these boxers, because your dad has trained all the names I'm about to mention. So Amir Khan.
Yeah. Obviously, in the Olympics, I was young when he was in the gym though. I remember being in the gym, watching, working out, seeing him in the background. Same with obviously Bachelor Jamie.
Jamie Moore.
Yeah. Martin Murray. I didn't really see Martin as much, because by that time I was more football side of it.
Yeah.
Because, have you Rocky Fielding as well?
Rocky Fielding, yeah.
Yeah, they was all when I'm, like I said, more into my football there. But yeah, in the gym, obviously, watching the pros work out, it's a different level.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy because, you know, this show is called SOFA Sense'S, and you know, we don't proclaim to be experts on boxing. We literally watch it on probably the screen behind me, and share our views and opinions. But when we talk about Amir Khan, Matt Macklin, Jamie Moore, Rocky Fielding, Martin Murray, these are staples in British boxing. I could literally name you, you know, major fights that all these names have had, fighting major names. You know, Amir Khan, Canelo. That's a crazy link up. So to know that you know your father's had a role to play in launching those careers must be an incredibly proud thing for yourself.
Of course, yeah, absolutely. It's the same like with Martin as well with Triple G.
Yeah, of course. Wow.
But yeah, there's been big fights. My dad's been there either sides as well. And when I see them now, like I see Martin recently, so he's going to come to my first amateur fight. He's always, I can't think of a person who's got a bad word to say about my dad.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, that is definitely something I noticed in all the tributes I was reading, and all the sort of news articles. There was not one controversy. It was just pure doing great things for the community and helping people become and fulfill their potential. So, you know, it was really, really lovely to read those things, and I'm sure you get some comfort in that. So, and you know, I want to note as well, today is Father's Day, so really appreciate you joining us today, and let's hope this episode will just be a tribute to your father and all the things that he's done in boxing.
Yeah, thank you.
So one of the things I want to talk about then is your sort of athletic beginnings, because you mentioned there throughout some of the names we were talking about, you know, how you were focusing on football. So talk us through some of that journey in athletics for you then.
So always been into sport. So obviously growing up, I had to be boxing.
Yeah.
No matter what. So like I said, my mum and dad spoke. So whenever I go see my dad, it was gym, boxing. I take it back to my mum, playing football and stuff. But I did live with my mum. So I've always been playing football, and like professional contracts when I was around 15, 16. But then I also see my dad always in the gym, always boxing. So it's not like, so say I'm going to start my career hopefully soon, but it's not like I've never done it before. I've been been watching pro. I've been watching, been learning. I've always done the training. It's
Yeah.
just when you sign a professional contract, it's no more. You have to either choose football or choose boxing, which one do you want. And at that time in my life, I was football.
Yeah. And I think, you know what? If we're talking to many teenagers, football would be the sort of attractive route to go down, you know. In the media, it looks like a great career. The money seems great. You're not taking any head damage. So, you know, all these things sort of add up and sound like an attractive proposition. But like you said there, boxing has been in your life since pretty much day one. I saw a picture of you when you was very, very young on Instagram and you using some boxing shorts. So you know, the ring is destined for you in a lot of ways. So that professional football career then, what was that team that you signed for?
Oldham Football Club. Oldham.
Wicked. And how did that sort of come about? Like, and what was the journey with that? How long was you in Oldham for?
So it signed with a year. I can't remember the year or 2 year contract. But I was always doing the trials, United, say always back and forth, Blackburn, Bolton, and then it got to the point where Oldham wanted to sign me. I signed them. I literally, before my first game, I got sent off. There's a step up from your Sunday League football, Saturday League football, where you can swear at people and say whatever you want.
Yeah.
That's the rest, a straight red card. So that was an eye opener. Thinking, oh, here we go.
Yeah, lessons learned.
Yeah. But yeah, then to be fair, the injuries with football is the worst one. I got so many more injuries with football than I did with boxing. Boxing, you get the occasional bruise, bleeding, whatever, or ribs. Football, once you injure your knee, something like that, you're out for 6 months, and that's what happened with me. It was actually in my tendon to my ankle. Wrong tackle, went over on it, 6 months out. Everyone's still moving forward, progressing, then you get left behind, and that was it basically.
Wow. So it's a lot like almost like a treadmill then of just talent. Because like I say, you've got a lot of young males in particular focusing on football. So if you're the one that's injured and out for 6 months, someone will just take your place.
Yeah, I would always recommend everyone to try some sort of combat sport just for the discipline side of it. Because I am, as I play in 6'5", playing football. I was, Lamar needs to be more aggressive. Lamar needs to do this. But because I've done boxing all my life, I've just thought, you don't need to go and prove yourself to no one. You don't need to do this. You know what you can do. So I've always had that in the back of my mind. But obviously, the aggression part of football is always there. Where you have to be aggressive. But then I've got the back of my mind thinking, my dad said, Lamar, don't get into fight. Don't do this. Don't do that. You're disciplined. So it's like it didn't hold me back in football. I said, if I need to, I can. But in the back of my head, I'm always like, I don't need to prove anything to anyone. I don't need to fight. When people kick off and start pushing and shoving in football, I'm never there, never at the front of that. What for? Are we actually going to fight? And if we do fight, I'm probably going to get in trouble myself.
Yeah. And I don't see many 6'5" footballers that can handle themselves. So I'm sure it'll be a pretty one-sided fight. So a couple of things I want to pick up on. I want to talk about sort of the foundation that football gave you, but I'll get onto that in a second. When you're talking about some of the things that your dad's taught you, then some of those fundamentals and the sort of discipline of boxing, how did that take place? Was that because your dad's professional career ended in 91? And what year are you born in? 93. So to be honest, you're seeing him as a trainer and pretty much only as a trainer. So, is he taking you on one-to-one classes? Are you joining some of the amateur classes he runs or the pro classes that he runs? How does that sort of lessons get onto you?
It was everything. One-on-ones, obviously. One-on-ones, the pro classes I would jump in, amateur classes I would jump in. To be fair, I was always scared of doing, I was more scared of the amateur classes than the pro classes for some reason. I don't know why. As a kid, I just always, I don't know if it was like the pressure or whatever, but when I was in the pros, I think the pros obviously were older than me, a lot older, so there wasn't that. But when it came to the amateur, you have to jump in and I was tall as a kid, I was always fighting the older kids. So you got the juniors and the seniors. Because I was so tall and so heavy, I had to fight with seniors as a kid. Yeah. So whenever I go to the gym and do the amateur classes, kids my age were all doing the 1-2s and stuff. Like Lamar, jumping with the seniors. Don't get me wrong, they weren't battering me.
Yeah.
But as a kid, when age matters when you're a kid, you're like, oh, I've got to fight this 15-year-old and I'm only what, and I'm 10. And oh, here we go.
Yeah. It's quite intimidating. But again, what's interesting is I don't get the sense that your dad ever pushed you away from boxing, because sometimes when we talk to pros and they mention their kids and we ask them, would you let your kids fight? And I'll probably say 8 out of 10 of them say no. I've done the fighting. Whereas it sounds like you were sort of encouraged to fight. Is that accurate?
Sorry, you cut off again. I got a phone call. Can you say that again?
Sorry, bro. Yeah, all good. Yeah. So sometimes I was saying when we speak to pros who have retired, we often ask them, would you let your kids fight? And they say no. Whereas it sounds like you was encouraged to sort of fight. Is that accurate? And are you sort of grateful for that ability to learn early?
Yeah, and I think I'd be the same if I had children. I'd be the same. I would encourage them to, even just the self-defense side of it, just so handle yourself. Encourage them if they enjoy it, go and do what you enjoy. If you don't enjoy it, but at least you've got the background to defend yourself if something does happen. If you don't enjoy it, you don't like you said, there's boxers and fighters, and then you get your bolt.
Yeah,
people enjoy boxing. People enjoy hitting the pads. People enjoy hitting the bags. But when you jump in the ring and someone's hitting back, some people just go, "That's it. I don't want to do this no more. That's not for me." Which is fair enough. But if you enjoy it and you want to get better than that person, then yeah, go through that path. If you enjoy the fitness and you know how to defend yourself, and if you do a little bit of sparring, not for you, but if someone throws a punch, you know how to lay back, you know how to split. At least if it happens in the street, I'd say always walk away. But if you have to, it's there, just in the memory bank.
I think that's a really solid point, actually, about the different levels of boxing and boxing training. The ability to be able to defend yourself is completely different to be able to fight in a ring in front of thousands of people. But to at least start somewhere on that spectrum is a great skill to have. I think that's a great point. Thank you. So you mentioned there about your sort of football background. Do you think that sort of has helped you in where you are or where you want to go in boxing now? That fitness foundation, that ability to, I see boxers running, about 10, 15K in a match. Is that the sort of foundation that helps you as a boxer?
Fitness-wise, it's completely different. It was an eye-opener because even just the amateurs, because I normally train with the professionals. We train every day. I train with the professionals, so it's 1 o'clock till 3 o'clock. But then when you go to the amateur classes at 7 p.m. till 8 p.m., and even just the difference now, I've been training so long with the professionals now, to come do my first amateur fight, I had to switch up my training, which is 15 seconds on, 15 seconds off, 15 seconds off. It's more of a non-stop, sprint. Where I'm used to with the professionals now, taking your time, take the first 2 rounds off, figure them out, We're doing 8 rounds, we're doing it, relax, breathe. Like now, I'm feeling tired, but jumping with the amateurs, sparring with the amateurs. Like 15, 16-year-olds, non-stop. I'm thinking, I'm not ready for this, but obviously, you adapt to it. But then with the football side of it, you got to be ready for 45 minutes non-stop. You get a longer rest in football, jogging, occasional sprint, jog, stand still for a bit. You get a full recovery in football, which I didn't realise at the time until I did boxing. Don't get me wrong, you're getting mixed in boxing, but that 3 minutes is intense.
So how did the sort of football fizzle out then for you?
Injuries, and then outside, like I said, the injury. So the professional side of it was just with the injury. I've always enjoyed playing with my friends and playing with my mates and stuff, but then it's just like I started taking boxing serious. My legs were starting to ache on Saturday, and then Monday when it's come to boxing training, I could do the circuit, but I wasn't getting the potential, the most out of what to do. So I was playing Saturday and Sunday, my legs were just knackered. So when it comes to Monday professional training, I'm like, I jump over the bar, can't do this, can't fast step, can't me off those throw. And just because football, so don't get me wrong, I enjoy doing it, but if I want to take something serious, everything sacrifices, I'll cut everything out, cut it out there.
I think you touched on something really interesting there that we haven't really spoken about much on the show at all. Thinking about all the other boxers we've spoken to, recovery and the importance of a sort of solo focus on boxing and not allowing distractions to get in the way of your recovery. Mentioning there, you're not being able to get over the bar and not feeling as quick as you usually are when your legs are tired. That's really interesting. What's some of the things you do to recover?
You've got the ice bath, stretching. What I tend to do, so I've always been training, and my uncle said to me, my dad's brother Humphrey, he said to me, Lamar, you need to take a day off. And so when he said to take a day off, and I go, so what? So just go on the bike and something? He goes, no, take a day off. So what? Just stretch and to do some stretching? He goes, no, take a day off. You need to rest. Don't do anything. Just sit there in your house, watch football, watch films, whatever you do. Don't do nothing. I was like, yeah, actually, I find it hard. I feel like I should be doing something. He's like, yeah. So my recovery tends to be the ice bath, stretching, or I do go to the gym and I will go on just a spin bike and just sit on there for 20 minutes, stretch, shadow box, sauna, shower, done. So it's about that's an hour session, but it's not intense. But it just helps with my recovery.
Yeah, getting the blood flow in, and like you say, stretching the body is really, really important. But it's not something we've really spoken about before. And I think there's a UFC Hall of Famer, Michael Bisping. He's the first British MMA fighter to win a UFC title, and he spoke about in his career he often overtrained. He suspects because that idea of taking a day off was just so alien to him, and he puts it down actually not to a sort of he puts it down to sort of insecurity, the idea that wait, but someone else is working and I have to work, and his coaches had to talk him round to that's being able to take a day off is real confidence. Being able to say, do you know what, they can keep working, but I know I've put the work in and can take a day off to rest and recover and still come back better. And that was a really interesting conversation to hear him talk about, because if we believe everything we see online, these fighters, all you do is work, but often that work is also put in via resting as well. So it's very interesting to hear your perspective on it. Thank you.
Yeah, I think that would be there's two sides of it, Love. So if I think there's the skill side of it and the fitness side of it. I think they're getting better skill wise, so they're doing passing away from the finger. So that would annoy me. So I think someone's doing passing is working on something that I need to be working as well. That would annoy me.
Yeah.
Might be insecurity or whatever, but I want to be as fit as I can. So like, I know it'll probably knock your legs out, but I need to get fit. I want to be fit. I want to be, as soon as I get in the ring, I want to make you feel like you can't go no more. I want to be moving around, making you think, how do you keep moving? Especially in the heavyweight division, they all look stuck in the mud. They're just very static.
Yeah.
The thing I've got going for myself is I'm light on my feet and I can move, and I've got good footwork, which I want to put into the pro game, because like I say, I watch all these people fighting. They're just that, especially in the heavyweight division.
I noticed you say on one of your Instagram posts about the benefits of dancing, and it's very out the sort of playbook of Usyk and Lomachenko. I'm pretty sure Lomachenko's dad put him in like dance school for like 4 years so he could get his footwork on point. So yeah, do you apply any sort of how should you put it, out there training methods to sort of improve particular elements of your game?
The only thing I'll do is I'll watch people like Lomachenko. I'll watch people with good footwork. And when I'm in the gym by myself, I've got the key to the gym. I can go in whenever I want. And when I'm doing my shadow boxing by myself, I've got a song I like on, and I'll do it to the beat, and I'll move, and I'll practice different footwork techniques. And I'll be switch stepping. I'll be doing everything, moving around to the beat of the music, get comfortable, and then from there we put it into practice.
Yeah, that's very Roy Jones, I saw what he was doing in one of the videos. Roy Jones, when he trained, well, in his own training he did it, but then I saw a video of him training Eubank Jr. and he listens to music in the background, works to the rhythm of the music. It's all about rhythm for Roy Jones Jr. So again, if you're taking pointers from Lomachenko, Roy Jones, those are the people, footwork, elusive, avoiding getting hit. So those are the perfect names to learn from.
Yeah.
So when we talk about sort of footwork and the skills that you develop in boxing, what would you say is your best attribute then in the ring? Is it your speed, power, footwork, skill, fight IQ?
I think it will be speed and footwork. I think heavyweight division, everyone can hit hard. You get to a point where if you can knock a man out, you can knock a man out. It gets to the point where, don't get me wrong, you're looking at Deontay Wilder and people with big heavy punches, but yes, you can knock me out, but also I'm guessing Anthony Joshua can knock me out. I'm guessing Dylan White can knock me out. So your level of power, it gets to the point where you could be the hardest puncher in the world, but Anthony Joshua can knock him out. It might not be hit as hard as he can still knock him out, so it doesn't really matter when it comes to power. So yes, I've got power naturally. I'm 6'5". I've got power, but the one thing like I said with the heavyweight division, the static, don't move. Like I said, you've seen Usyk and Joshua. He just danced around. He just outboxed him. Joshua didn't know where to look. So if you can, also I'm comfortable switching into southpaw. We're watching Terence Crawford and people like that who can switch into southpaw and just give someone switch. That jab with the right hand, step, everything basically. My main assets, I got to go for speed and footwork to make an adjustment to people.
So we know you train the footwork because we spoke about that earlier, but do you train your speed or is that a natural attribute for you?
I do train it as well, but it is a very natural, very fast twitch fiber, like sprinting. I think when I was younger, my 200 meters was 22 seconds.
Jeez.
So it's I've always, like I said, it's just I've always been a quick person, running, punching. I've always been quick. But what come with that makes you tired dead easy as well. So I thought again, I've been insecure. If you're feeling tired, I need to go out now. I need to go get my endurance up.
Yeah. Well, do you know what? I should have known already, because from when your dad's Jamaican, that fast twitch fiber is there.
Yeah.
That's part of your foundation. Yeah, I should have known. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about the actually, before I get to the program, I want to talk about your amateur sort of ambitions. So I've seen a few videos on your Instagram. I'm pretty sure you sat someone down with a jab. I'm pretty sure I saw a video like that. That poor person, man. That must have hurt. So what has your experience in the ring been like so far? Because I know you haven't actually started an amateur career yet. So has it been sort of like white collar?
Yeah, white collar, unlicensed. Yeah. Again, I credit to everyone who gets in the ring, and no disrespect, I respect everyone who gets in the ring, but they're not on my level. And I say that because, like I said, I've been training all my life, and just, like Uncle said, get a few white collars, get a few unlicensed, get the feel for people watching me fight, and did that. Like I said, seeing the guy, I dropped him with, I think I was in Southpaw actually, and he dropped him with my right hand, but it was a jab. But I felt comfortable at home in there. Switched up people. It could have been, as I say this, I've never been in a situation, but it could be 100,000 people, could be 1,000, could be 10 people. Switch off, it's just me and you in that ring. That's it.
So when, we're talking about those in white collar not being on your level, I'm thinking right now, Fabio Wardley. His start was, in the white collar ranks. He is now British heavyweight champion. So there's a clear route, for you to collect these titles in the pro ranks. And Fabio, I think himself is only like 29, maybe early 30s. So, there's some real interesting routes and interesting matchups in the future once we get these sort of amateur fights out the way. So what is that amateur plan then?
So I spoke to the board, and we have to do these 5 amateur fights first, get these 5 amateur fights done on the record, and then we can turn over. See what we do when we turn over, see how many fights we need. Obviously, the idea, the roadmap is go for the British, Commonwealth, European, and just see where it goes from there, hopefully. But yeah, I'm keeping an eye out.
Nice. So I want to ask you about the sort of pro game, if you will. So given the last name that you carry, do you think that brings with it any pressures for you?
Yeah, I said this to a lot of people. Said the only pressure I've got really, I wouldn't say it's a last name, but it's the expectation of me not doing as good as I should. I'm not worried about losing. It's more not being able to perform as well as I know I could have performed. And that happens, like I said, UK boxers say the better man won in the night. I could probably take him, and that's the only pressure I really feel. And I'm proud to have the last name. That's not the pressure. It's the pressure to know what I can do. But if I don't, if you don't do it, that's what the always in the back of your mind.
Well, I think, in a lot of ways, you're already 50% of the way there because you're doing it. You're starting it. You're in it. And I think, it could easily be something that you say, what, I'm not even gonna go there because of the pressure of me not doing as well as I know I can do. But by going there, you're creating action, you're creating momentum, and that's a great position to put yourself in, because now your face is against the wall and you got to come out on the other side. You got to do it. So that's a great lesson in resilience there, in terms of just showing up, and the rest can fall into place. So when we talk about sort of the pro game, one of the things I always mention to sort of the amateur boxers that we talk to is selling yourself, being a promoter, a self-promoter at that, because there are obviously the big promoters in pro boxing, but often, the best promoter is yourself. So is there anything that you're looking forward to, or perhaps a little bit nervous about the pro games? I'm thinking, if I'm honest with you, and we can swear on this because it's the akhi&saltfish Digital Network, I'm thinking about the shit talking. Those are the things when I think about my the people that got me into boxing originally. It was that Hatton versus Mayweather fight. That was a major thing that got me in, because those two going against each other was just amazing to see. And then it was David Haye becoming heavyweight champion of the world. He, talking about Audley Harrison and some of the things that he said to him, and that whole build up, and his torment of Vladimir Klitschko. Those are the sort of things that got me interested. So is that something you sort of, I don't know how to ask this question, but are you sort of practicing? Is it natural to you or what?
Oh, I look forward to it. I honestly do. When I'm just randomly, I've been walking about, I think about, I can't wait for it. When I'm watching football, when I'm watching boxing, I'm watching like Fraser Clark or Fabio Wardley and stuff like this. I'm thinking, if that was me, oh my God, he would have to fight me. Good things I would be saying. Don't get me wrong, no, I wouldn't be disrespecting any family members or anything like that. But it comes with where you grow up. I think it all depends on where you grow up and who you grow up with, because that back and forth chat when reply. When you've got it, you've got it. If not, you can tell someone's not got it. And yeah, hopefully you'll see in the future.
I love that. And I love the energy as well, because you're talking about, how you grew up and what the sort of people that you grew up around. I'm thinking back to, I used to get the bus to school back in the day. And if you was on the bus, you had to be quick. You had to be quick. It was either be quick or be flattened, isn't it? And so that ability to talk back real quick was a skill on the bus. So, I can imagine growing up in Salford, that is a place where, people have got something on you and you got to come back real quick. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. And that brings me on nicely to my next question, which is the assessment of the heavyweight division. So I'll list off a few names for you and we'll just sort of get your immediate thoughts on those names. So, Fabio Wardley.
Again, that's because, like I said, when I said I got my eyes on people, again, respect to him gets to the ring. I think he's a great fighter, especially like I said, he comes from white collar, what he's made it up to now. Respect to him.
Joe Joyce.
But his most recent fight, he put his name to the test and didn't end up too well for him. So don't get me wrong, great for British boxing, but he's put his name to the test now, and it looks like he's taking too many shots to the head now.
Dave Allen.
I've got nothing to say for that, really.
Final name. For me, it's got to be Fraser Clark. He fought the weekend.
Fraser Clark, did you say?
Yeah, Fraser Clark.
Yeah, I think he needs to stop talking. I don't think he should be calling out Fabio Wardley. Great fighter again. One of the next up and coming. But I don't think he should be calling Fabio Wardley, because I think Fabio Wardley was like before. But you got to do what you got to do to get. What's the answer? Eight professional, 6?
I think about 6, yeah.
6 professional fights, yeah. I don't think. Yeah, a few more. What was his last fight? Was it 8 rounds, that one?
Yeah, Marius Wack. It might even have been a 10-rounder. It might have been a 10-rounder, yeah.
It was one of the recent ones, wasn't it? Yeah. I rate him, to be fair. I rate Fraser Clark.
Yeah, I think maybe there's a danger right now with Fraser Clark, that because he turned over from the Olympics, he's managed by AJ. People are watching him from his first fight. Mm-hmm. And to be fair, we watched AJ from his first fight, and that sort of turned out okay. But I think there's a lot of pressure on Fraser Clark, whereas other fighters, we might sort of leave them alone for their first 8, 9, 10, maybe even more fights, and then we tune into them at sort of 15, when, you know what I mean? So maybe there's a bit of undue pressure on Fraser Clark, and I think the whole him versus Fabio Wardley thing sort of damaged his name a little bit, because it didn't look good.
Stop doing that. Yeah, relax on that. But because sometimes it can pay off, but sometimes it doesn't. Like, if you look at Daniel Dubois with Joe Joyce, it's like it was too soon for him. He got his eye socket, just by jab. He just wasn't ready for it. Don't get me wrong, Daniel Dubois, again, young, up and coming, but he just wasn't ready for something like that. And I think that's what Fraser Clark is with Fabio Ward. I don't think it would be a really good fight, but I don't think he's ready for it just yet. Get a few more fights and then go for it.
I think the dark horse in that sort of British domestic scene is David Adelaide, because I see him talk to Fraser Clark, and it was a different energy. It was a different energy. Fraser Clark was I think he's just naturally a kind person, right? So he wasn't sort of being drawn out by him. But David, you could see he just wanted the aggression. So I think in a fight setting, that's gonna sort of rear its head. So I'm really intrigued in that fight actually. So yeah, we'll see how that all pans out. But yeah, I mean, for me, it's a really interesting time to chat to you in your career because there's so many possibilities on the table and you've got so much history and lineage in boxing. So it's really fascinating to sort of pick your brains a little bit on boxing and where you want to go. So I suppose the big question to end it off really is, where do you want to be in boxing? If you could tell me your ideal endpoint, where do you want to be?
Realistically, I'm looking for world champion. I want to be. I'm going world champion. I'm not going half-hearted. Think, I'm just doing this to see what it's like. I'm going to have a few bouts to see what I can do. No. I'm sacrificing everything for it. I'm not, like I said, when I started doing it, taking it really, really serious 5 years ago. It's like I see people messaging me and commenting and stuff like this and going, not gonna. You train all the time. What's it for? It's like you don't see the bigger picture. It's just I have to do it. Do you want to go out? No, I've got to do this. You staying up to 1 o'clock in the morning? No, I've got to do it because I'm up at this time. I've got to go for a run. But I'm not doing it for fun. I want to be the best, and it's just what it's instilled in my head. So I'm doing the amateurs so I can go to pro. If I go pro, I'm not just being a pro for the sake of being a pro. I'm not going to be no journeyman for someone. I'm being pro because I want to be the best. I don't care who you put in front of me. I'm going to outwork you and I'm going to outbox you, and that's what it is. And I'm coming for the world title.
So, when you sort of get those messages about what are you training for, does that drive you a little bit? Is that something that is, it's driving you on?
I don't, to be fair, there's probably a few people you could speak to, and those, like, even if they're trying to compliment me, I'll try and twist and go, no, you don't really want me to do this. I need you to say that I can't do it so I can go out and do it. And I don't know, it's weird, but when people say I can't do something, it's just, all right, okay. I don't care how long it takes. Like I said, 5 years ago, we trained. Give me an extra, give me a year, and see you making that same comment.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I can see, as you're talking about that, I can see the drive in your eyes. So listen, I think it's fair to say, as SOFA Senseis, we believe you and we back you all the way. So, okay, the final thing I want to talk about is quite a difficult topic to talk about when you're at the start of your career. But I'll ask it anyway because it is something that we try and ask all of our guests. It's about, have you heard of Tris Dixon's book, Damage?
No, sorry.
So it's a book about sort of brain trauma within boxing and the impacts of not necessarily while boxers or fighters are boxing, but more after their careers and sort of the plans in place or the support in place after their careers, and also the culture in boxing. So I think, I was talking to a fighter the other day who fought in the 80s, and he was talking about same day weigh-ins, and he was talking about 15-round fights, and now we obviously have day before weigh-ins, so you're allowed to sort of rehydrate, and we have 12-round fights because again those extra 3 rounds sort of accumulate that damage as time goes on. So do you ever think about that damage that you may take as a fighter?
Not really. And I said this to my mum actually. I said, she's like, what about being pushed in the face? There's one thing I've got going for me is because I was focusing on football, I didn't have that much sparring. There's so many people have been sparring from the age 8 all the way up to now, and they've already taken these shots. But to be fair, as my uncle says to me, I said, it's not a game. You're in the ring to fight someone. Don't be nice. Don't do this. But you hit him. He's coming out to hurt you. You've got to go and hurt him.
Yeah.
And that's the mindset you've got to have. I don't really think about, if you're thinking about stuff like that, don't get me wrong, the longevity of it, and you want to think about your health in the future. But while you're in it right now, it's not something that crosses my mind now, to being honest. I'm more focused on, he's trying to hurt me, I'm going to hurt him.
You know what? I think, if I'm honest, talking to someone who's at the beginning of their career, that's probably the best answer anyway, because you can't be having those thoughts. It's a lot like we were talking about earlier. You can't be letting the doubts of other people infiltrate your mind. You have to have that full confidence that you're training to the best of your ability, no stone left unturned, and that's the best way to be at the start of your career. Again, what we'd like to do as Sofa Senseis is keep track of your career, you know, after any fights or before any fights. If you want to come on and promote those, please do give us a shout, because we'd love to have you on. Don't forget as well, we've got part 2. So if you're listening to this and you're enjoying the conversation with Lamar, tune in next week for part 2, where we ask him our signature 7 questions. So that has been Sofa Senseis on the akhi&saltfish Digital Network. You've been joined by me, Kavan, and this is, of course, the akhi&saltfish Digital Network. In case you didn't know, we can be found on Twitter at akhi&saltfish, TikTok, akhi&saltfish. You can email us if you've got any questions or comments, akhi&saltfish@gmail.com. And don't forget to follow us, Sofa Senseis, on Instagram at Sofa Senseis. And Lamar, where can you be found online so that people can follow your journey?
Only Instagram, really. Instagram, Lamar with 2 Harrison.
There we go. Follow him up. Track his journey. It's a great Instagram. If you want to feel inspired and you want to feel like you have more to give, follow Lamar, because he'll push you all the way. Thank you so much. Take care and see you soon.